So this is how it works. You have a thought. You give attention to that thought. The attention you give to that thought strengthens that thought. And that thought, the energy of that thought attracts like energy. This is why you can't live a positive life with a negative attitude. Those are not the same energies. This is why if you have negative thoughts, you will feel negative emotions. You can't think on negative shit all day and be positive. It's impossible. Energy attracts like energy. So it's really simple, but it's not easy to master. It takes a lot of practice. And in your practicing, you're gonna fail. You're gonna catch yourself thinking on some shit that's producing some shit in your life that you don't want, and you won't realize it until you're already deep in, but at least you know, and then you can reverse. It don't matter how long you've been thinking on like negative shit, right? You can always turn it around, but the key is you want to catch it as soon as possible, because it's much easier. Say, for example, it's much easier to that little tree. It's much easier to rip that tree out the ground than it is. There's no examples around here, but than it is to rip out like a full-grown oak or sequoia or something like that, something that's 100, 200 feet high. It's much easier to kill a negative thought. It's much easier to ignore a negative thought when it's in its infancy. So you want to catch it as soon as possible. As you practice this, you'll get better at it, and you'll become aware that you're having negative thoughts much quicker over time and with practice. But if you are able, as soon as you have one negative thought, to just jump on it right away and attack it and get rid of it. And by attack it and get rid of it, I just simply mean that you're going to redirect your energy. You don't want to give any type of energy to a negative thought. None whatsoever, because any energy you give a negative thought is going to cause that negative thought to grow and expand and become more powerful and influential in your life. So the fight is when you notice you're having a negative thought, stop giving attention to it and start giving attention to pleasant thoughts, happy thoughts, thoughts of peace, thoughts of abundance. Whatever it is, you want to counter that. And it's a fight, because especially in the beginning of learning how to do this, it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. So you may try to ignore a negative thought, and it seems like that thought is not going anywhere. It's just staying there, haunting you and tormenting you. So you have to continue to ignore it. You have to continue to put forth the effort to think about something different, to think about the opposite of whatever that negative thought is, right? So if the negative thought is poverty or lack or not having enough, you want to have thoughts of abundance. If the thought is of sickness or disease, you want to have thoughts of health, or and use your words too. That really helps. That helps a lot, especially with stubborn thoughts. And I've done this, like it's been times I've done this for hours. Like I've had negative thoughts that just wouldn't go away. And I just start speaking out loud the opposite of that thought. If it was a thought that was like promoting fear or sickness or disease or like whatever it was, if I didn't like it, I start speaking out the opposite of that thought. And energy attracts like energy. So when you start speaking and putting positive energy out into the universe, that also multiplies. It becomes stronger. One positive thought attracts another. And then 2 positive thoughts attract 4, and 4 attract 8, on and on and on. So you can reverse it in your favor. And this is how you do it. And like no matter how long it takes, you want to stomp that thought out. You know, it's like a fire, you know, like when you put out a fire, if you don't put it out thoroughly, you may leave some embers burning. And you might not see those embers burning, but they're there and they're burning. And those embers, them embers make it possible to rekindle that fire. And it works the same way with thoughts. If you're speaking, you're countering negative thoughts, but if you don't do the job thoroughly, there could be some residue, some embers burning. And you think you're good and you stop speaking against those things and they start back up again. So you want to thoroughly put them out. However long it takes, go overboard with it. You know, just go overboard with it. And just keep, as you do that, pay attention to the thoughts you're having. And you'll notice they will go away. Those negative thoughts, they will go away. And they won't come back. You can try to think about them consciously and won't be able to. But that's how it works. That's how you do it. That's the law of thought. Also the law of energy. Energy multiplies. Whatever you give your energy to multiplies. And the most important area to be aware of this is in what we call the mind. It's in your thoughts, because that thought is the beginning of all creation.